This is the Predators official podcast here on Nashville Predators YouTube, ESPN 1025 The Game, and your preferred podcast platform. Mid-Olympics edition as the Preds get ready to hit the ice next Thursday in the return from the Olympic break on February 26th. We've got tons of Olympic updates coming your way, and also in about 15 minutes, an interview with Predators head team physician, Dr. Lance LeClere, and also Preds player Michael McCarron, talking about the inside work between a NHL medical director, team doctor, and NHL players from our friends at Vanderbilt Health. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us here on the POP. My name is Max Herz from Preds Radio, along with Brooks Bratten from NashvillePredators.com. Brooksy, the Olympics have been a treat so far. We are recording here on Thursday, February 19th. Some people will be hearing this after the Olympics are over or after some games that we're going to talk about have already happened. We are talking right now. The USA women have won the gold medal with a dirty overtime goal from Megan Keller, and we are headed into the men's semifinals on Friday the 20th and the gold medal game on Sunday the 22nd. But boy, have these hockey tournaments delivered in the Olympics.
I'm still trying to collect my thoughts after what we just watched, as you said, as we record on Thursday afternoon after Megan Keller just ended it in overtime for the USA. We were here watching it in the office at Bridgestone Arena, and I hope nobody was on a meeting nearby because I was hooting and hollering. Let me tell you, I'm surprised I still have vocal cords, honestly, because it's not often that we get to cheer for a game, right? Like when we're watching it, you can't really cheer. I mean, maybe more so a little bit for you when you're broadcasting, Max, but I'm sitting in the press box. I can't be jumping up and down and hooting and hollering. So, yeah, what a showing for the U.S. women to capture gold. Canada gets the silver as they beat them in overtime. And combine that with the men's games that we have seen so far. And my goodness, I mean, we talk about it, especially when the Olympics roll around. And obviously this is the first time in 12 years that the NHL has been to the Olympics, but international best on best, I don't think it gets better than that. Not only from a simple perspective of a fan watching the game, but for growing the game, right? We, folks like us that are in the sport, myself especially, I'm biased, but I think hockey is the greatest sport in the world. And when you have the eyes of the world on the game that you love, it's really a special thing. And that's what you get come Olympic time. And going to be riding a high of this whole episode after the women captured gold there. But yeah, you mentioned that the Preds doing quite well at the Olympics too.
Yeah, we've got Preds headed into the Olympic semifinals tomorrow. UC Saros will be in net against Team Canada for Team Finland. Erik Haula has had a great tournament as well. And the Finns had a pretty crazy comeback against Roman Josi and Team Switzerland in the quarterfinals on Wednesday. I thought Jost and the Swiss were going to get it done, Brooks. Man, were they close to advancing to the medal round. But Finland came back and got them.
Yeah, no, I did too. I mean, I think we knew going in of what Roman Josi meant to Team Switzerland. He was their captain. He was the only Preds player that had been there previously to the Olympics, his second Olympics this time around. But boy, was he good. And every time you watch Switzerland, and they had a couple of 5 a.m. Central Time games, and I was up for those too. And, a little bleary-eyed at that hour of the morning, but Jost really wakes you up when he gets going on the rush. And what a pleasure to watch him. You realize how much he drives that team. He, when he gets in that setting, we get the pleasure of seeing him every night. But on the international stage, you realize that, yeah, he is the best Swiss player, not only on that team, but the best Swiss player of all time. And just what he does for that team, driving the offense and then being sound on the defensive side of the puck as well. Unfortunately, as you said, it's so weird too, right? Like, fortunately, unfortunately, yes, you're happy that UC Saros and Erik Haula are advancing, but you're sad for Roman. And we don't want to confirm this or anything, but you imagine it's probably his last Olympics unless he keeps playing for 4 more years, which never say never. But you have to think when you watch that, it's just tough to see a journey like that come to an end this time around. And former Preds forward Kevin Fiala, of course, ended up with a couple of leg fractures in the game against Canada as well. So a tough break there for Switzerland. And they had a great little run. And again, Roman Josi is certainly the catalyst behind that team. So it was fun to watch him play. And we got to see a little bit of Philip Forsberg play as well once he got going in the lineup there.
Yeah, we've heard it from a lot of people now. Barry Trotz, Andrew Burnett, Steven Stamkos. Nobody really knows why Philip Forsberg barely played in the first couple of games for Sweden, but he took it like a good teammate from all accounts and what we've heard in the media coming from Italy. And when you play Philip Forsberg scores, as Team Sweden is finding out, but they were not able to beat Team USA. A really close game. USA won in overtime in the quarterfinals. So USA versus Slovakia in the final. And we will see the two eliminated Preds Olympians, Philip Forsberg and Roman Josi, the two best players in Preds history, will be back sometime in the next few days for a practice or two before the Preds return to action on Thursday. So, hey, it's been a lot of fun. I hope everybody's been watching. Congrats again to the U.S. women on their big gold medal. Third gold medal for Team USA. Man, this is the best team they've ever had. I know that 98 team was special, but this is the best women's team that Team USA has ever had. And they took down Canada. So I think you can make the pretty easy argument that this is the best women's Olympic team ever from any nation.
Well, and anytime they play Canada in recent memory, they have gotten the victory. And you'll remember earlier in the Olympics when the U.S. women faced Canada, it was a 5-0 game, and it really wasn't a contest. And I don't know that anybody thought this gold medal game was going to be another blowout like that. But for the U.S., it took them over 58 minutes in regulation to score a goal. I also don't know that anybody saw that coming as well. But Canada, and we heard it a lot during the broadcast, they're such an experienced team. And maybe you were seeing a little bit of that, a younger, faster U.S. team, but didn't have the experience in a gold medal game that a lot of the Canadians did. But who else but Hillary Knight, the leading goal scorer in all time for the U.S. Women's Olympians, going to the net, tipping in a shot from the point, and then Megan Keller with the dirty goal in overtime. So again, we touch on it, and just the hockey at this time of year is fantastic. And of course, we'd have to mention friend of the show, Kevin Morley, who is also still over there with Team USA. I've actually seen him behind the bench a few times. You don't know, like, he's not the head athletic trainer over there, so you don't know, is he behind the bench, is he hanging out in the runway, but he has been on the bench. And I don't know, it's just kind of cool when you're watching a game halfway around the world, and it's kind of like Buddy the Elf. I know him to see him on television there behind the bench. But yeah, best of luck to Kevin and Team USA. Of course, proud Americans. I think we're a little biased cheering for the Americans, but and for UC Saros as well. Like, Finland had a little bit of a tough start. They lost in the opening game, and since then, Juice has recorded 3 straight wins. Eric Holla with a few assists, and it's just cool to see. I think all 4 of these representatives on the ice for the Preds have certainly done Nashville proud. They've all been on the score sheet. They've all contributed in different ways, Juice obviously being in net. And it's just been cool to see. We've talked about it so much on this show, and the NHL going back over there. And obviously you want your guys to do well, but you never know what can happen. You never know how things are going to play out. But it's been really fun to not only watch them, but to see the guys that we get to see on a daily basis show up on the score sheet, making saves in the net, and doing what they can to help their countries along. And we know that the Finns, at the very least, are going to play for a medal, right? There's only 4 games left, semis on Friday, to determine who's in the bronze and who's in the gold. So at the very least, UC Saros and Eric Holla will have a chance at a medal, and that's really cool. So congrats to them so far, and we'll wrap that up next time when we talk to you sometime next week on what actually happens. But yeah, Max, you touched on it as well. Like, the guys are back at practice, and it's kind of like coming back, for the first day of school. They're coming back for spring break. Like, everybody's in a really good mood. That tends to be the case when you have 10 days off, and some guys get to the beach, and a few guys we know got home to Canada and participated in some winter sports with some Olympic fever there. But I don't know about you, but it was nice to have a break, but it's been really good to see the guys the last couple of days again too, and they're fired up to be back.
Yeah, and it's a team that really barely got to practice in the 2-3 months before this Olympic break. So the practice is needed. And as we speak here on Thursday, the 19th, the Preds have had 2 practices back. They are scheduled to have 4 more on Friday morning, Sunday morning, Monday morning, and next Wednesday morning before they play again on Thursday, February the 26th, and they get back to action with a home game against the Blackhawks for the first game back from the Olympics. But yeah, the first day was puck touches, get everybody back up to speed. And then Thursday morning, they were able to get hitting a little bit more, had some battle drills, and then played a 3-on-3 tournament with Olympic-style teams. There are 15 Preds skaters who are not in the Olympics. So it was 3 teams of 5 with line changes in 3-on-3 it was Team Ontario, Team USA, and the rest of Canada, plus Adam Wilsby. Our European numbers, first of all, are very low when the Olympics are going on. We've lost 4 of our Europeans, and we're down to just 2 right now with Wilsby and Justus Onninen, and the goalies were playing for everybody. So we couldn't have a Team Europe. We only had one guy, but it was a spirited 3-on-3 affair. And Team Ontario, led by Steven Stamkos, Michael Bunting, Ryan O'Reilly, and Nick Hague, and Luke Evangelista, won the 3-on-3. It was a fun day.
That's a good crew. That's a good team right there. Not surprising that they won. And I don't know about you, Max, but they, usually it's Centennial when they're going for about an hour or so. They'll start on one side and head over to the other side. So they were back on the rink closest to their locker room, if you're familiar with Centennial. And they had it set up for the 3-on-3, but we had come back over after the first half of practice was done. And who do we see standing on the bench in a referee jersey but Craig Partner-Baugh, the legendary Predators locker room attendant. I couldn't help but laugh and smile. I thought it was awesome. And Craig was over there. I think Pete Rogers helped him raise his arm a couple times as guys were calling for penalty shots. But did he call a penalty the whole time, Max? I think he let the boys play.
Partner did not call a single penalty, and afterwards, Preds coach Andrew Brunette, who I think is Partner's #1 fan in the universe, said it was probably one of the best officiated games we've had all year, and that he thought Partner was exceptional refereeing from the bench. And Team Ontario called Partner out on the ice for a celebratory picture after the win. So he's the commissioner of the league, he's the referee, and he didn't call a single penalty. Great job, Partner.
What can't he do? Well, and he was bragging a little bit in the room afterward too. He knew he was the star of the show. I think Brady Shea gave him some kudos for calling a good game. And I told him because we had talked to Andrew Brunette, and like you said, Max, Bruno said probably one of the best officiated games we've had all year. And I told Craig, I said, Bruno said you probably did one of the best jobs he's seen all season. And Craig said, yep, no doubt. He knows. And I think Nick Hague agreed with that too. But yeah, and something like that, I think we knew that they probably weren't just going to skate up and down the ice for 5 straight practices going into next week. And it's good to have something like that, right? Asking Brunette about that as well, just to break up the monotony of it a little bit, get the guys going. And as you said, Max, right? Like, you're getting back into it. Your legs are just a little sore. You're a little weary of, you haven't skated in a week or so. And that was a fun little nuance to Thursday's practice. So there's been good energy. I think the guys, you appreciate just with how compact the schedule has been. You obviously appreciated the break, but there's that rejuvenation to get back now. There's only 25 games to go in the regular season. The Preds are still very much in the thick of that. They know that they need to come out and continue winning the week, adopt that mantra, keep it going. But there's definitely an excitement there. And I think you'll start to see it ramp up before the games get going again next week. But yeah, it's good to be back. And, the weather's warmer here in Nashville, and it just feels like springtime. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, at least as far as the regular season is concerned. And the guys know what they have to play for. And we're excited to see how that plays out. But it's good to get back. It's, again, you appreciate the break, but, the Preds are here to do a job, and they're excited to see what they have with 25 games left here.
Preds will be back in action on Thursday night, February 26th, for the first game back from the Olympic break on home ice against the Chicago Blackhawks. Coming up next, we have a special interview courtesy of our friends at Vanderbilt Health and Vanderbilt Medical. Dr. Lance LeClere is one of the Predators' team physicians and the head of the Predators' medical operation. He will join us, along with Predators player Michael McCarron, to talk about the medical relationship between NHL players and their medical staff. And you'll hear it from Michael McCarron himself, why he thinks that the Preds and Vanderbilt have the best medical situation of any NHL team due to that valuable partnership with one of the best hospitals in the world. That's coming up next. This is the Predators official podcast. I'm Max Herz from Preds Radio with Brooks Bratten from NashvillePredators.com. The POP here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back to the Predators official podcast here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming on Preds YouTube and a whole slew of other spots. Brooks Bratten alongside my friend Max Herz once more. And Max, this is a first on the POP. I don't think we've ever had two interview guests at one time, but we're excited for this one. So we've got Predator centerman Michael McCarron, who a lot of you will probably recognize. A gentleman you may not know, however, Dr. Lance LeClere, a team physician for the Nashville Predators at Vanderbilt University. And we wanted to get a little bit of the player medical team physician relationship going on this chat. So, gentlemen, we're excited to have both of you. And Dr. LeClere, I'll start out with a few for you here as Max and I get going. One, I guess the obvious question to start, how on earth does one become a team physician for a National Hockey League team, especially the Predators here in Nashville?
Well, thanks, Brooks. I think, the question for me is how does a team physician end up on the Predators official podcast? I'm a listener. I'm a fan of the podcast. I never thought I would be a guest, so it's really incredible to be with you guys today. So thanks for the invitation. But no, I think I've wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon ever since I was in high school, and the draw to being an orthopedic surgeon was the ability to work with athletes and keep them on the field of play, on the ice, and participating in their sport, helping them play the game they love, and that's always been a big draw. And I think orthopedics, that's an essential component of what we do. And there's a subspecialty field within orthopedics where you could do an extra year of training and spend time in the sports medicine environment. And there's a lot to learn in that year, but that's kind of the career path. But I think above all, you've got to be somebody who's interested in working with a team and helping athletes achieve their goals. And I think when you start with that, then it's a lot of mentorship, a little bit of luck, and some hard work along the way. And I've certainly been the beneficiary of some great mentorship and some great opportunities that have just happened to come my way. And couldn't ask for a better scenario being the medical director for the Nashville Predators. It doesn't get any better than that.
So, Dr. LeClere, what all does your role with the Preds entail, both on a day-to-day throughout the year and specifically when there's a game going on?
Well, I think first and foremost, our primary responsibility is to keep the players healthy and on the ice. And a lot of that is preventative, helping make sure that we have systems in place along with Kevin Morley and the sports medicine staff to do everything we can to keep them performing at their very best. And then I think, everybody knows an unfortunate part of sports, and especially a sport like hockey, is that injuries are part of the game. We try to minimize that as much as we can, but a big part of what we do is help these guys get back on the ice as soon as we can, help them achieve their goals of getting back to play with their teammates, but also keeping in mind that we want to keep them healthy for the long term so that they can eventually retire from hockey on their own terms and not because of a medical reason. But we also have to make decisions that help keep them healthy for when they're older in life and they're teaching the sport to their kids and their grandkids. And so those are our big responsibilities, is first and foremost doing the best thing we can for our athletes and our players. And I think a lot of that is the partnership and the relationships. And that's the really important part of what we do as team physicians. You can't be a good team physician if you don't have that relationship built on trust for the players and with the organization, and most especially with the athletic training staff. That's where we're really lucky at Vanderbilt to work with Kevin Morley and DJ Amadio, Jeff Biddle and Doug Agnew, because you won't find a better staff in the NHL than those guys. And so the ability to work with them I joke with my wife at the beginning of every season, Kevin kind of moves above her in the speed dial, because Kevin and I talk more than my wife and I do during the season, because we're constantly checking in on the guys and seeing what we need to do to keep them healthy and on the ice.
Friend of the show, Kevin Morley, by the way, another recent interviewee over in Milan at the Olympics right now. But Lance, you touched on it there. Obviously, the goal is to help the players remain healthy. We want everybody on the ice. So how do you approach that role? What is kind of the mindset that you have as a team physician, the medical director for the Preds, when you're dealing with things of this nature?
Well, first you have to assemble a good team. My specialty is orthopedics, and I do surgery on shoulders and knees, but we have eye injuries, we have hip injuries, we have general medical issues, and so you first got to build a really good team, because we want to get our athletes in the hands of the best possible medical providers that we can. And so we have to assemble a good team. And thankfully at Vanderbilt, we have the opportunity to really bring in some world-class experts in their fields. And so we build a really good team that makes the best possible medical personnel available to the players. And if you see us at the game, you'll see we've got a pretty big group. We've got about 8 of us in the stands that are there to help support the guys from all different subspecialties. And then I think the second goal is that we want the players to know that we're here for them. We want to build that trust, and a lot of that goes into, I don't want the first time that one of these guys sees me or meets me to be, when they come off the ice with an injury. I want to be around. I want to see them. I want to develop those relationships so that they know who I am. And I know our whole medical staff does the same thing. We want to build that relationship so these guys know just inherently that our primary goal is to keep them healthy and keep them on the ice, support the organization as best we can. And so it's a lot of relationship building, and just building that trust that, hey, we're looking out for you. We got your back.
That's Dr. Lance LeClere, the Predators medical director from Vanderbilt Health. And Dr. LeClere, you mentioned it there. The team doctors sit in the crowd when the game is going on and then go down when they're needed. What is it like getting the bat signal and having to rush down after you see an injury to go and help somebody?
Well, sometimes we have a heads up, obviously we can see what's unfolding on the ice, but you really don't know what you're going to walk into in the evaluation room until you get down there. And you kind of just get yourself ready mentally to get in the right headspace to do the best you possibly can to help our athletes and our players. We do take care of the other team too, because they're guests, and most NHL teams don't travel their own physicians. We also take care of the refs. So we're kind of comprehensive care for everybody. So you're mentally just getting yourself ready for, okay, am I going to order x-rays? Do I need to get a laceration kit? Do we need to get plastics down here to sew up a laceration? What are we, kind of assembling the needs of what we need to do to take care of the team.
We're talking to Dr. Lance LeClere and Preds center Michael McCarron here on the Preds official podcast. And Mac, let's get you in here. So I want to know the player-physician relationship. I would imagine it's probably someone you don't necessarily want to talk to, because that probably means you're dealing with an injury. But as we said, it's part of the game. How do you view the player-physician relationship when you as a player need care?
Well, yeah, I think you just said it. Like, usually if you're chatting with them about something, it's not good, but at the same time, they're nothing but great to have. I've been here for 6 years. I mean, I've gone through some injuries here myself, nothing serious, knock on wood, but every time I pop in, I try to say hi. They're always very welcoming and very easy to talk to. And for instance, let's say you have, you come off with a bad groin after the first period, they're going to be in there. You can go in and chat with them, and they can kind of see how you are, what's going on, like the likelihood of going back, what would happen, or if they would shut you down. So, with me being here for 6 years now, it is great to know them, personally and professionally. So it's really easy to talk to them. I try to tell the young guys and guys who haven't been here to get in here or to get into the trainer's room and say hi, because you never know when the time is that you're going to need them. And it's usually not at a great time. So if there's a personal relationship there, makes it a little bit, feels more like home, I'd say.
Well, Mac, you mentioned it there, like the personal relationship that you want to have with someone. And again, like we said at the top, it's you don't necessarily think about the team physician all the time, but as a player, how do you view the importance of the role of the team doctors? How vital are they in helping you get back to full strength after suffering an injury?
Well, yeah, it's huge. We have a medical staff that travels with us full time, and you guys mentioned it, Kevin Morley and his team. But they're not necessarily doctors. They can't they can't order an x-ray or order an MRI. Most likely they're calling Lance, or we have a few other doctors that are around, that are always on call. Like, I got a bad hit to the head in a game. I have to go through what's called concussion protocol, and Kevin can put me through that, but there also needs to be a physician on the line. So, I remember, I don't know if you did one, Lance, with me recently, but I just had one, I think, in Calgary. But yeah, so they're huge. You need them a part of your team. Like kind of what I said about the groin, like they can determine whether, it's safe to go back and play or not. And, their decisions have been, pretty spot on over my 6 years here. Nothing crazy's happened, where on other teams you hear about all these, crazy stories. I think here with Vanderbilt, the Vanderbilt staff, I mean, they're world renowned for a reason, and we have the best of the best here, and we're very lucky as Predators players.
Talking with Predators medical director Dr. Lance LeClere and Preds player Michael McCarron. Dr. LeClere, what is something you think people would be surprised to know about your role as a team physician?
Well, I think I don't know about surprise, but I think this probably is least surprising if you're a fan of the Predators. But I think probably the thing that's been most gratifying. I'm relatively new to the role. I just got here into Nashville about 5 years ago. But the thing that's been incredibly rewarding is being a part of the organization. Just how the leadership from the top down supports the players, supports the medical staff, and really is just a world class organization. Like I said, I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but it's really been eye-opening for me as a team physician to see, to see everybody just in lockstep in terms of, uh, going about their business with a high level of excellence and really trying to do the best thing to win Stanley Cup and do everything to support the players. Um, I think in terms of just the day-to-day surprise might be just all hours the phone when the phone calls come in and the text messages and some of the strange scenarios that you hear, sometimes in the off season of like, wait, what happened? But we're always available and always on call. Your best attribute as a team physician is your availability and just being available to answer the call when it comes in. I think there's probably some stories that we can't share over the airwaves that just surprising from a medical perspective, but you're always ready to help and jump in and support where needed.
Michael, we've heard it before as well, and you just kind of touched on it, like getting in the room, getting to know the doctors, the trainers, that sort of thing. But like from an organizational standpoint as a player, how important is it to know not just your teammates and not just the coaches, but as you said, the trainers, the support staff, everybody else around you? Because there's so much more that goes into it than just the guys on the bench, as you well know. And I think most of our fans would probably presume that. But how important is it for you to just get to know everybody in the organization, because everybody has their role and kind of makes everything tick?
Yeah, you just kind of said it. It makes everything tick. It makes the world go around. Our trainers, our medical staff, even our equipment guys too. Like if we didn't have those guys, we don't go on the ice. Same with medical. Like if our body's not working at 100%, we're not going to have a great game individually. It is great to know them. I think the Predators, number one, I think we have a really family-based style organization, which, I mean, the doctors, the trainers, everybody's always invited to parties. We just had a big Christmas party. It was great to see, Dr. LeClere and his family come and support and be with the players and our wives and our families. I like how it's very family orientated. Our organization. I think Barry's done a great job with that.
And Lance will finish on this one. What is, maybe a loaded question, but what's the best part about being a team physician in the National Hockey League for the Nashville Predators? What do you get out of it the most?
I think it's the sense of supporting somebody in achieving their goals. I think it's really gratifying. I mean, I love sports growing up, but I knew my athletic career was fizzling shortly after high school, and I realized I wasn't going to get any taller than 5'9.5", and my arms are really short. My athletic career was over before it started. But to be able to support these world-class athletes that are the best in their craft in the world and see them achieve their goals and live out their childhood dreams, and knowing that it's a small part, but playing a small part and helping them achieve their goals, especially in their times of need, when they're injured or when they have something going on medically, it's so gratifying to be a small part of that and to lead a team that does an excellent job of dedicating themselves to these athletes and this organization and achieving their goals. It's really incredible. And it translates to my practice. I mean, so many things that we learn on the field or on the ice in terms of we want to push the frontiers of sports medicine. And that's what these athletes help us do. And we learn so much from our day to day and taking care of them that we take directly into our office and into our surgical suites and operating rooms to help us take care of our patients. So it's really mutually beneficial. It works both ways, but it's at the end of the day, it's really about seeing these guys succeed. And nothing makes me happier than if I've got a guy who's post-op that scores a goal, that I've operated on and I see him score a goal, or lay down a big hit and the shoulder holds up and you're like, oh man, that was awesome. That was great. And so to see the guys to win, achieve their goals, to be on the ice, living out their childhood dreams, there's nothing better than, just supporting that effort.
We love seeing the shoulders hold up. But Dr. LeClere, Mac, thanks for doing this. It's been great to get some insight. We appreciate both of you taking some time, and hopefully everybody stays healthy. But we know if the guys need care, that they're in good hands. But thank you both for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. This was
Dr.
great.
LeClere, we'll see you in a couple of weeks, or about, 6 days?
Yep. See you soon.
All right, bye, guys.
He's ready. Michael McCarron's ready to go. Gentlemen, thanks again for joining us today. We'll be back in just a moment here on the Preds official podcast on ESPN 102.5 The Game and Preds YouTube. Welcome back to the Predators official podcast here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming on Preds YouTube. I'm Brooks Bratten alongside my friend Max Herz, back with you on the program. Our thanks once again to Dr. Lance LeClere and Michael McCarron. As we said, you don't want to really go see the doctor, but when you have to, you know that they're in good hands. And Max, you're a proud Vanderbilt alum. You got to be happy with the care that is being provided.
Yeah, I go to Vanderbilt Medical for many different types of doctors. That wasn't a very medically eloquent sentence, but I do. And first of all, thank you to Dr. LeClere for listening to the podcast, which he says he does all the time. And I really wanted to ask him who his favorite Preds player was and see if he was going to say Michael McCarron while Michael McCarron was here. But I restrained myself.
Well done. Well, Mac asked me on Thursday during practice. He's like, "Is that okay? Did I do okay?" It's like, Mac, you did great.
Amazing.
He crushed it. No, we're grateful to them for giving us some time. So thanks again to them for shedding a little light there. You, Max, alongside our friend Willie Donick, hosted Smashville Live on Wednesday night and had Barry Trotz on the show, which she's been in the news a little bit lately. Of course, we spoke a lot about him a couple episodes ago as he announced his plans to retire. But you and Willie got more into that during the show. And I know it's always great to talk to Trotz. He always gives you a ton of great stuff. But there was something in particular that we wanted to touch on here today.
Yeah, Barry Trotz opened up a little bit in front of a great crowd of Preds fans at Brewhouse South on Wednesday night about his specific reasons and kind of the timing of his decision to retire.
There's a number of things. I wasn't very healthy last year. I had, a lot of people don't know, I had like 5 eye surgeries. I had 2 hospital stays. Even you guys didn't even know a lot of that.
Wow.
And, it was a real tough year. And then, I had some family things with my father and my wife's mom back in Canada. It's not easy where they live for us to get there. And then, when I signed on to do this job a few years ago, I said to ownership, I will let you know that my intentions, if I get to the end of the contract, if I go further, or, as soon as I know what my end date is, I will let you know. And it really hit me when I went to Sweden, actually. We went over to Sweden to play in the Global Series game against the Penguins. We had a couple days off, and it actually was my granddaughter's 5th birthday. And they happen to be in Spain with they do world school. So they travel and they live in different areas of the world. They're going to Japan in September.
Wow.
And it was her 5th birthday. It just happened that I was in Stockholm. We had some days back. And I said, you know what, we're not even going to be on the ice for a couple of days. I'm going to go for her 5th birthday in Spain. And so I traveled from Stockholm to Spain, southern Spain. Spent about 36 hours for my granddaughter's 5th birthday. And then on the way back, it sort of clicked into me a little bit that it was her 5th birthday. It was the only second time that I've even been around for her birthdays. And that sort of started setting in even more with me, and then all the other stuff that comes along with that. So that's when I really, really started thinking about it. And then when I met with Bill Haslam on as I do on a pretty regular basis, early December, I said, Bill, I've really been thinking about this hard. I haven't even told my family yet, but I'm going to tell you because I'm going to probably just go to the end of my contract and then I'm going to retire. And we talked about it, when do you do it? In this business, a lot of things is June 30th, and I said, usually they look at it in the spring, but I said, what I'm finding out, and you see it all the time, social media, you guys are so good at finding all the rumors, no one can keep their mouth shut anymore. It's maybe let's do something a little untraditional and just say, this is what we're going to do, and I'm giving myself an end date. And so we did that and caught a lot of people off guard. I didn't really tell my own family till about 48 hours before.
So that's a long answer from Barry Trotz about his decision-making, deciding to retire as Preds GM. And Brooks, we had not heard that from Barry Trotz before. Coming back from Sweden, first of all, it is so cool that his grandkids go to world school. I want to go to world school. But that he got to see one of his grandkids for a 5th birthday get together in Spain. And on the flight home, he just thought, I've been there for 2 out of 5 birthdays for a grandbaby, and I don't want it to be 2 out of 6. I want it to be 3 out of 6 and 4 out of 7 and 5 out of 8 and so on. And that's when it really hit home. So more of the backstory for the emotion that Barry Trotz showed as he decided to retire from hockey.
Yeah, no, that was really eye-opening, and you appreciate somebody like Barry opening up like that, and he doesn't have to reveal any of that, obviously, but I love that he was willing to give a little bit more of a backstory in there, and just as you said, Max, the way that he was feeling when it hit him. I mean, I was in Stockholm. I had no idea that he was even gone. I love that I was kind of a revelation to be like, wow, he went to Spain and Sweden all within a 36, 48-hour stretch there. But yeah, that's again, just to get him to open up like that and get a little bit more insight into that situation. And like you talked about last season too, not great on the health spectrum. Again, there was a lot of speculation that maybe he was retiring because of health. He said this time around that he's feeling great, no health issues whatsoever, but you never know with that sort of thing too. So yeah, great to hear from Trotzy there. And we saw him back at practice on Thursday as well. So he's back in the building. He spent the break in Washington with some more grandchildren. So it's good that, we heard Andrew Brunette a few weeks ago call him Papa Barry, and Papa Barry has certainly been making the rounds lately. So great to see.
Yeah. And I appreciate the honesty from Barry Trotz as well. You can hear that full show on the Preds Radio podcast page from 102.5 The Game, separate podcast page from where we are, to hear that whole hour with Barry Trotz talking about Preds past and present as he goes through what we expect to be his final season as the Preds GM before he retires when a successor is named, potentially as soon as the draft this summer. Brooks, it has been a long Olympic break. We're 2/3 of the way done with it, and we have had many Preds birthdays that we have to shout out. So it's birthday time. First off, happy birthday to our missing co-host, Kara Hammer, who partied too hard and had to miss this episode because she had such a great birthday, but we love her so much.
I know. Shout out to Hammer, who told us that she doesn't have a voice, and it's kind of hard to do a podcast if you don't have a voice. She's not feeling well. She's sure. She's not feeling well. She's under the weather. But our best to Hammer and a belated happy birthday there. Again, imagining she partied hardy and enjoyed herself. So happy birthday to Kara, but a lot of birthdays in the Preds room too.
Yeah. Kara's age is redacted, by the way. We're not allowed to say what it is, but it was a big milestone. We're going to say 30. All right. Here's some Preds player birthdays for you as well. Friday, February 6th. Happy 21st birthday, Matt Wood. Saturday, February 7th. Twin birthdays. 2 of the most popular players in the NHL who we are both happy to call ours. Happy 35th birthday to Mr. Uncle Factor, Ryan O'Reilly. And happy 36th birthday to the oldest player on the Nashville Predators, Steven Stamkos, who after practice, the first practice back from the Olympic break, said, first practice as a 36-year-old hit hard and not in a good way. So happy birthday to old man Stammer, one of the top 20 leading goal scorers in NHL history. Then, perhaps the biggest birthday of them all, Nashville's most beautiful person, Luke Evangelista, turns 24 on Saturday, February 21st. Pretty boy Vincenzo is growing into a pretty man right before our eyes.
To be 24 again, I can't even imagine. And then I am so much closer to Steven Stamkos' 36. I can only imagine. I don't know. I'm at the age where I get out of bed and something hurts. Something new is wrong every single day. I can only imagine being a professional athlete. But that's why we have people like Dr. LeClere and Kevin Morley around to keep them in tip-top shape, even if you are 36 years old. 36 years young for Steven Stamkos, the way he's playing right now.
We do also want to recognize one of the most important days on the Preds calendar. It is recognized on the wall at Tin Roof on Demumbrian Street. February 15th is Scotty Upshaw Day. So happy Scotty Upshaw Day to everybody out there. One of the most important days on the Preds calendar.
It's on the wall at Tin Roof. You know that it's worth making a note of.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a break, come back, give out our Big E Awesome Person of the Week. We'll see if it's any of their birthdays as well. And Brooks has some Preds Olympic trivia coming up next on the Predators official podcast.
Fourth and final segment of this episode of the Predators official podcast back here on ESPN 102.5 The Game and Preds YouTube. Brooks Bratten and Max Herz here with you. And as we wrap up our birthday segment, we wanted to get into another awesome segment as we crown our Big E Awesome Person or Persons of the Week. And Max, appropriately, again, we're still on a high from a gold medal for the U.S. women, and I think it's an obvious choice.
Yeah, the Big E Awesome People of the Week. I wish Erin Donick were here to be freaking out at all the hockey going on right now. She would be going nuts for the U.S. women's hockey team that just won the gold in the Olympics on Thursday. So the Big E is going to be split. How many players are there? 24? 24 ways, I believe. Yep. So that was awesome. An amazing display. Great for women's sports and women's hockey, and great for USA hockey. Incredibly well done and so much fun to watch. I mean, they took care of everybody along the way, including Canada the first time. Marie-Philippe Poulin didn't play in that first game, so you knew that wasn't the real full Canada gold medal game effort. And Canada almost got him, but Hillary Knight tied it up with 2 minutes left. Megan Keller won it with a dirty goal in overtime. And the U.S. women win gold. So the USA men, as we record this, are 2 wins away from trying to do the same. We will see if they can get it done and get the Big E next week, and maybe also a big medal. But most importantly, the Big E in memory of Erin Donick.
Absolutely. Congrats to the U.S. women for being just awesome, especially this time around. Speaking of the Olympics, wanted to end on this, and we love trivia. And our friend Jani Kekalainen, Predators Finnish scout, sent me a direct message on Instagram. He replied to one of my stories, ironically I've been sharing all of the Team USA victory stories from USA Hockey on my page, and he replied to one of those and just simply said, there are 3 coaches at the Olympics who had played for the Preds or drafted by the Preds. Can you name them? Would make a good quiz for your broadcasts or social media. And I said, Yanni, I will absolutely talk about this on the podcast. So again, 3 gentlemen who have played for or been drafted by the Preds. Can you name all 3 of them, Max? If you get the third one, I will be floored.
Well, I was worried. You didn't tell me the trivia question in advance, which is good. That's how I like it. I was worried there were going to be more than 3 because I know 3. So I know them all.
Really? Okay.
I do.
Or do you know one that Yanni doesn't know?
Oh, well,
because I think that this third one is really obscure here.
I think I do know it.
Okay, go for it.
We're going to go in order from least obscure to most obscure. The head coach of Team Slovakia, Vladimir Orsog, former Pred. That's one. Former Preds Olympic player, assistant coach for Team Germany, former Preds defenseman Alexander Sulzer.
Yep.
Who was in the Olympics in 2010 in Vancouver when he was on the Preds. And the last one, I only know because a fan pointed this out to me when I tweeted the Slovak roster sheet that had Vladimir Orsog on it, because I hadn't realized he was the head coach. And you can tell me if this is wrong or if this is a mystery fourth. The goaltending coach for Team Slovakia, Jan Lasak. Very brief former Pred. Is that not one of the 3?
That's not who I have. So there is a mystery fourth. But he's the goaltending coach?
He's the goaltending coach for Team Slovakia, and he played 6 games for the Preds in the early 2000s. Played much more for the Admirals.
Okay, so there's another tie-in. And so this is why this one is
what country is the fourth one? I might be able to get it.
Latvia. but again, either played for or drafted. He never played. He was simply drafted.
Then I probably don't know.
Yeah, that's why I was going to be floored if you got this. So the third or the fourth mystery participant, if you will, is Laura Starzin. She was drafted in the 9th round, Yanni Kekalainen says, in 2003, and I've got him pulled up here. He was indeed drafted by the Predators way back in 2003, 268th overall in a round that doesn't even exist anymore. He is a coach with the Latvian national team. He was a forward back in the day. So there you go. Thanks for throwing Jan Lysek's name in there, because that was not one that Yanni Kekalainen mentioned.
Tell Yanni, we got 4. He's selling us for it.
I'll have to call him out. Maybe I'll just shoot him a message, or I'll wait till I see him in person here at the end of the season. But Yanni Kekalainen, again, a Finnish scout for the Predators, has been here a heck of a long time. And honestly, one of the reasons why there's a Pekka Rinne statue out in front of Bridgestone Arena. So shout out to Yanni Kekalainen. Appreciate the DM. Appreciate him providing us with some trivia. That was a fun way to end it.
Well, him and I both got 3. So I think that's a tie.
I think so too, and good for you for throwing in an extra participant there. Honorary mention for the Big E. Awesome.
Yeah, shout out to the fan who replied that to me. It was one of our regulars, but I don't have Twitter open in front of me right now to see who it was. But there we go. Well, there may be a 5th out there that we're missing too. So
if you know of any others, please send us a message. Get a hold of us somehow.
Well, enjoy the rest of the Olympics, Preds fans. The gold medal game is Sunday morning, and we will be back with Preds hockey on Thursday night, February 26th. Home game at Bridgestone Arena against the Chicago Blackhawks, and it is our second Hockey Fights Cancer night of the season, with a focus on our pediatric cancer fighters from Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt. We'll have a podcast back for you next week as well, recapping the Olympics and getting you back into Preds hockey. It'll be a busy week. It is 5 games in the first 8 days back for the Preds, including 3 home games in Smashville. So we will see you there. For Brooks Bratten, our producer Nate Baker, and the whole crew here at the POP, my name is Max Herz. Thanks for listening to Preds Hockey and the Predators official podcast on ESPN 102.5 The Game.